It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trateris, John Malika, and Ricey on the beat. Let's go.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Alex Trateris here with another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my cousin, pal, the man with the plan, the one and only, John Malika. And with us, as always, is video producer extraordinaire, Greg Albert. We back, baby. We back. We're 2-2. New York Jets are 2-2. We're back home against the Miami Dolphins. We have not defeated a divisional opponent within the last 2 years under Joe Douglas's tenure with Robert Saleh. That's got to change.
0-12 with Douglas and 0-6 with Saleh is a tough look, man.
We can't keep that going. So it changes this week, guys. It changes this week. All right. But before we get into that, how are you all feeling today? What's going on with you, John? What's going on with you, Greg?
Everything's good with me, man. Knicks preseason. I mean, talk about a great game. The Rangers preseason today, they're killing. The Yankees locked up playoffs, good to go till Tuesday. Hopefully the DS will be fine. So everything is good in that world. We're sitting over here. I'm staring at this Jet schedule. We have a really favorable 2 games just based on luck, where Tua's out this week. We'll get into that. And then next week we have Green Bay coming out of London. I mean, right now I am the most optimistic I could possibly be, especially because we're about to start the Knicks season, start the Rangers season, Yankees playoffs, Jets, get into the gauntlet. So, I think October 5th right now, this is my sweet spot. I think I found it. Everything
World Cup
is
starting
great.
Soon.
What's up?
World Cup starting soon.
Yeah, thankfully that's after the MLB playoffs.
Okay.
So, it won't be too much going
Oh,
on.
man. If World Cup was happening right now, I don't think we'd see. I think it'd be even tough to get John on the podcast. John would be like, oh, yeah, I'm going here. No, going over there. Man's going to 4 games this upcoming week.
Well, yeah, that and the Knicks practice on Sunday. But, dude, the Qatar time difference is pretty good for us. So it's all in the morning, during the workday. Nice little background soccer. So it's kind of nice, man. Our full days are going to be full of football, both kinds. Basketball. I mean, I'll be celebrating 28 rings, but we'll get to that at a different time. Greg, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. I spent the day today watching just different Jets channels break down Zach Wilson in the fourth quarter. So shout out. There are so many Jet YouTubers. Once you start going down this list, I've started off with Richie over at Jets Media. And he does the full game. He was like,
I watched all 22 with him today. It was amazing. I do that every week with him, by the way. It's so good.
2 hours long. It was great breaking down stuff, seeing stuff that you don't see when you're watching the game. So that was great. But then I just went down a rabbit hole, found a bunch of other guys that are doing it. So shout out to them. Shout out to Jets YouTube. People putting in the work, people breaking down the film. It was awesome to see. And it's cool, too, because it's the same plays, but everyone has a different opinion. Everyone sees stuff a little differently, so you get to see little things. It was cool. So really excited off the win. Really excited with what we got with Zach Wilson, if he can keep it going. So hoping to build. We talked about this season building off last season. I'm hoping this game he builds off that fourth quarter, and we just keep it rocking and rolling. Because that fourth quarter, those last 2 drives, dude, he was great. He was 10 of 12 for 100-something yards, 2 touchdowns, but also a touchdown. Also, he got everyone in the mix. Michael Carter was in the mix. Conklin was in the mix. Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall ran in for a touchdown. The offense is humming in that fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter was really impressive. We'll get into a little bit about what you learned from last week. This is no longer the rapid reaction. We've had time, like you said, to not only watch by ourselves. I watch with Richie every week, the whole way too, and then we've gone through it. So I'm curious to get anything extra that you might have learned. But Alex, how you doing, man? How you feeling? You were up late on Knicks Fan TV. People started making the cuts off your first preseason day.
Oh man, I think I need a preseason as well. All right. Look, all right. Even the analysts, just like all of us podcasters, we all need to go through our repetitions, make sure that we get our vocals, get our analysis on point, know how to use words properly, not be tired. Hey man, we go through it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll keep it family for today. What I said.
Just go to Knicks Fan TV.
Go to Twitter, go to IG, go find it.
It's classic. How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro.
I know
I'm
you're
ready
reeling
for
off
this
that
game,
Knicks
man.
win.
I'm feeling great, and guess what? This one's going to keep going for this week for the Jets. We're going to get a divisional win. We're going to beat the Miami Dolphins.
Man.
All right. Well, first of all, can we talk about the disrespect that ESPN is giving us right now?
Yo,
they got the
Dad,
matchup predictor.
This has been like the motto.
You got
of
the
the
matchup
show.
predictor.
It started,
got-
Alex. It started with us being the last pick of the draft from literally last year up until like week 2. We were still the last pick. But what's up? What's new? What
Oh my God.
do this time?
ESPN giving us the matchup predictor. 58.6% Miami Dolphins win, 40.9% with giving us the chance to win. They're not giving us any favors right now. They still think we're going to lose to the Miami Dolphins. I get it. They got talent. They got a solid defense. All right. But you're missing your quarterback. All right. You're not going to have Tua this week. He's been a big factor why they've been winning. He's out. You know, we're going to talk to our guy, part of the FinSide Network, Paul. All right. Paul Picken, who's going to be up next with us for the next half of this segment. We'll get his takes on the Miami Dolphins, where they're at, get more intel there. But this is kind of disrespectful, man. You're telling me we're going to lose to a second-string quarterback? That hurts a little bit. That hurts.
I'm only going to push back a little bit because if you listen to the last episode of Winning Picks Weekly for this upcoming weekly slate, Greg very astutely pointed out that Teddy Two Gloves is an absolute cover machine. And at this point, sitting here, the Jets are field goal and a hook dogs at home.
Yep.
So, honestly, at the end of the day, ESPN's kind of being nice to us. We're kind of giving us a 50-50 shot here. Meanwhile, we're 3.5 dogs at home. But to be honest with you, man, I mentioned it. I mean, in the preview with Claudio, I've mentioned it after week 1. I've mentioned it after the Bengals game because I was there myself. There's just no home field advantage at MetLife, dude. And maybe it's the fans or maybe it's the team who literally haven't scored a touchdown at MetLife this season, man. So we have – I understand being disrespected, but I'm kind of not hating on them. I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like the Jets stink at home. We're back home. We've turned into road warriors, which is fun. But I don't know. I'm not feeling too disrespected by that. We have to put up or shut up. And this is the week, dude. If we go over 0-13 with Joe Douglas against the division, right? If we're now below 500 because we lose to Teddy Bridgewater with no Tua, with no Xavier Howard, with maybe no Teron Armstead, we'll get into the injury reports. They're absolutely right. We stink. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. Like, if we can't win this game, man, everybody is totally right. So I'm kind of feeling pressure. You know, just as a fan being there, like I'm feeling pressure about this game. Greg, do you feel like we're being disrespected by the 50-50 shot here?
Not really. I mean, I saw some graphic going around with all the experts picking. Everyone had the Dolphins in a clean slate. I think everyone had the Dolphins last week in Pittsburgh, or the Pittsburgh Steelers against us last week too. So
you tweeted that from the Winning P Weekly account.
Yeah, tweeted that from the Winning P Weekly account. Yeah, because it's just giving me vibes of last week again. Like, everyone's picking against us. To your point on Winning P Weekly, we talked about it this week. Teddy Bridgewater, 23-3 against the spread on the road in his career. It's pretty freaking good. So, if he does cover again, they're going to win by 4 or more. But, dude, I just don't think it's the same Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think it's the same teams that he was playing on before. I saw in his press conference today, I don't know if you guys caught it, him like talking about coming back from his injury and how the Jets were the first team to give him a workout and a training camp and OTAs to kind of find confidence in himself again. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think he's that big of a fall off from Tua. Like, we talked on here, Tua's maybe not the best quarterback going into the season. He obviously had a great first couple of games, but dude, Teddy Bridgewater showed out last week. I mean, he threw a 60-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. He had like 100-something yards, or it was 200 yards. He was really efficient. I think it was like 17 for 24 or something like that. So, again, he came in. I think he played pretty well. So, I don't think it's that big of a fall off for Miami at the quarterback position. If I'm Miami, I'm more concerned about the running game. They just got none of it. It's all pass or nothing. So,
And that's fair. That's fair, Greg. I mean, and shout out to Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, we thought there was competition between him and Sam Darnold when he was on this team.
yeah.
Look, you're right. I mean, he was a starter in this league before he went down with that terrible injury. He was out there in Denver as a starter. Now he's, he has that starting experience as a quarterback. So you're right. It isn't that too far of a drop off when you have him under center. But I just feel like, man, we're healthy, for the most part. I know our tackle situation is bleak. It's on the come up. Dwayne Brown, all right, on the mend.
Speaking of interviews or notes from today, he said that there was a possibility he was going to get a shoulder surgery and be done for the season, but he opted not to. I am completely baffled by the situation. I do not get it, dude. I still don't know who did the physical for him. I would still like to meet the doctor who did a physical on Dwayne Brown and gave him guaranteed money. But dude, if he plays this week, he's gonna be our savior, right? So, I guess let's take that with a grain of salt. But I just wanted, before completely diving into this week's game versus Miami, Greg, you kind of mentioned all this, tape and reviews that you went through for the week. I'll tell you a couple things that I learned. One, I was confirmed that Elijah Vera Tucker is the best player on the Jets without question.
Yep.
He's joking around this week how he wants to play right tackle and center. I mean, must be the coolest dude on the whole team. Other players are crying when they try to move positions. This guy's like, yeah, let's do it. I don't care. Goes from right guard to left guard to right guard, down to left tackle, and he's willing to go to right tackle and center. I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker is absolutely the man. Connor McGovern, damn. Dude, the tape. I mean, I'm not an offensive line expert, right? I'm not an NFL expert. I'm not.
Yo.
But dude, watching McGovern, he's getting killed on every single play. He's not giving us a chance. Like all the blown up plays, whether it's the run or whether that's on the quarterback or whether that's Zach running for his life, which he did like specifically 2 times and got positive yardage. That is the difference without Flacco that Zach Wilson can bring. I mean, McGovern had a really tough game. McDermott was amazing on the right. Like we're talking about offensive line. He did amazing. Nate Herbig did fine. I know it's Nate Herbig. He did fine as right guard. Maybe right guard's just not that hard to play. I don't know. We haven't had a right guard in years. Right? Nate Herbig did fine. The left tackle, Vera Tucker, did amazing. Literally amazing. But the center was just really tough. And on the other side of that, Quentin Williams was unreal.
Yeah.
Monster this season.
He didn't show up in the stat sheet, but I was watching with Richie and he paused and went crazy when Quentin Williams literally lifted the center at one point and he had him on one foot. We paused it, we were joking around, he screenshotted it, we were joking Quentin Williams unbelievable. So that was really good. Sauce Gardner today talked about how he was envious of his fellow DBs for getting all these interceptions, which really blew up last week. Watching the tape, dude, do you guys remember the Asante Samuel from the Patriots on the Super Bowl when he dropped the Eli Manning interception with the 2 toes? He had it in his hand. He was looking down his toes and it slipped right through. Dude, the same exact thing happened to Gardner. It was on the same sideline. He had his toes in and it went right through his hand. And after, because it rolls for a little bit after, you could see he was just smacking his hand. He was so pissed at himself. This week he's talking about getting an interception, all his boys getting one. We kind of got lucky on the other side where Zach Wilson had an interception dropped by Minka.
A couple.
Dude, a couple, but one was could end the whole game. Yeah. So that one was tough. So we got lucky on both sides there. So I guess just from that aspect, that's definitely what I learned. Everyone's watching the fourth quarter, right? We all know Corey Davis came in clutch. Zach Wilson moving around the pocket. Zach Wilson having the wherewithal to get up to the line in that fourth quarter off that Corey Davis non-catch, if we're being honest with you, and be able to snap it and get positive yards and no penalty. I mean, that's amazing. I know other teams like, yeah, dude, that's like football 101. We see that every single week.
Yeah, but for the Jets, that has not been the case for a very long time.
We don't get touchdowns at home, dude. The fact that we're putting fourth quarter drives where we know where the clock is. Salah is saying they have like a word for it that he didn't really want to mention, but he's like, we have a word that's like, dude, just go snap the ball. Like it doesn't matter. Like just go run a play because I forget, like you have like an emergency word. So team has chemistry. They're hyped. They know they don't deserve to win any of these games so far. They know it. And the last note, and I've been really hard on him, Marcel Harris, real player, played very good, very, very good this week.
You know who he is?
I've been saying, who the hell is Marcel Harris? Get him off my team. I need a real linebacker. He's pretty good. He's doing pretty good. So I got to give him that. So that's just, I know it's a little long-winded, but I just had to go over the non-rapid reaction from last week because we were so hyped. I mean, I couldn't even see straight after the last win. So, Greg, did you learn anything extra or anything to add?
You just to tack on just a couple other things. Like I watched was it Breece Hall on the Official Jets podcast this week, dude. I think he played phenomenal. He keeps playing phenomenal week in, week out. So just seeing him progress, seeing him get the reps that he needs. I think what is he? He's the fourth longest air yards receiver in the NFL right now. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, doesn't matter.
Oh, dude, you know, that reminds me that we ran two of the exact same plays. One worked, one didn't. And it's basically the running back rolling out and just like running out and Zach Wilson doing his like, I guess, signature at this point, roll out to the right, 1 foot throw, like above that guy. Yeah. And one time it was short to Breece Hall. And it was still fine, but it could have been a literal touchdown. And one time, it was just a bad throw to Michael Carter. I mean, they're running that play, dude.
Yeah, they're trying. So, I mean, like I said, this offense, I feel like, is finding its shape. The one thing, too, that I noticed, and I could be wrong with this, we talked a lot about penalties on this team, especially penalties from veterans really kicking us in the butt. Dude, I don't see a lot of penalties from this offensive line. And I think that's really great to see. Not a lot of holds, not a lot of false starts. Like, we're mixing guys up all over the place. Yeah. New guys coming in every week. Guys are going different positions. This offensive line, despite the injuries, is playing stellar. It's playing as good as we need it to. So as long as they can stay healthy, as long as we can keep it going. They were also talking with another former offensive lineman today in some clip. Maybe it was that one that you shared from ESPN, Alex, where they were asking him how long it takes for an offensive line to kind of gel together. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about Cincinnati, but it's true across the league. And they said 4 or 5 weeks. So, you know, this offensive line's still growing together, still getting better. And AVT, to your point, John's the best player on the team right now. So
he's unbelievable, dude. Yeah. Last thing you mentioned, penalties. That Carl Lawson penalty, which I was super mad about at the time, I was even more heat because it gave up points, right? It gave up 3 points, and it could have been 0, almost gave up 7 points. I was really mad about it in the rapid reaction, but going back and rewatching it, dude, Carl Lawson ran 25 yards. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, once they did, like, the all-22 from the different angle, I'm like, no way he was that far. Because, like, you know, they show you what happens, and then they kind of, dude, he ran 20 yards to go hit him. There's nothing in the world that was going to stop him from hitting the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, it was a bang play, first of all. But second of all, dude, he ran 20 yards. Like, he almost baited him into that call. So I'm not as mad at Carl Lawson as I was last week. So I guess I'll put it out there after the tape. Alex, anything from what Greg and I said, or did you learn anything on your own from just like after the rapid reaction? I know it was a highly emotional game.
The one thing I'll say is that our wide receivers are pretty stellar, man. You know, we're deep at wide receiver. I'm looking at the wide receiver stats right now, and including Tyler Conklin, just all our pass catchers. Dude, no one has less than 192 yards for receiving purposes between Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin, Corey Davis. Those are your 4 top guys. The 192 for both Elijah Moore and Tyler Conklin just because of the underneath guys. But, Corey Davis leading the pack with 261 right now. He's got 2 touchdowns. You see that he's just, yes, we can be frustrated with his drops, but the fact that we see these guys making plays out there, This is just different than what we've seen previously, even last season, right? I mean, everyone went down last season. It was Elijah Moore and Corey Davis that we're really focusing in on. But with the addition of Garrett Wilson, who's been a solid route runner, man, and just being able to get good separation, we're still waiting for Elijah Moore to get there. And it's not been, we saw that stat where Elijah Moore's got like 1.8 separation, which has not really been the case. He's began a lot of separation. That stat that Connor Hughes tweeted out was whenever he was targeted. But he's been open on so many plays. I'm just looking for Elijah Moore to get more involved in this game. He's my number one guy who I really like. I think he's another Antonio Brown coming up. But besides that, Garrett Wilson's been stellar.
Can we do A.J. Brown instead?
Yeah, A.J. Brown. I'm just thinking height, man. 5'10" dude. That's all. I don't want to say Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders was solid, but we know we know how Antonio Brown was. But no, look, like, I think Elijah Moore is going to get his turn, but right now I'm looking at the blanket that is Corey Davis. He's the security blanket for Zach Wilson. We saw it down the stretch of that game. I'm waiting for Zach to get a little bit more comfortable with Garrett Wilson, just because the amount of targets that we've seen from last season. It makes sense why Corey Davis is reliable. Tyler Conklin, we saw he wasn't getting pepper like when Joe Flacco was under center, but still he showed up, was catching the ball, no fumbles. I'm just waiting for Elijah Moore to have his day. As of right now, it's been Corey Davis has been stepping up, being that veteran wide receiver with the play on his field when it comes to being an actual receiver. Still ticked off about that penalty during the Cincinnati Bengals, but man, our pass catchers, we actually have weapons, man. That's what I've been learning so far. It's just, can we get stability at the quarterback play, and can it be consistent enough where we get some touchdowns, we get good offense? Zach Wilson's first week back. I think this week we'll see a little bit more fluidity out of Zach Wilson. I think he's a little bit more comfortable. John, you mentioned it last week. He didn't play like he was scared because of his injury coming back off a knee injury. He started to get more comfortable. We saw that comeback in the fourth quarter where he started to put everything together. 10 for 12, right? Had that game-winning drive. I just need to see that through all four quarters now. He's back. I understand they're still trying to get into rhythm, but I'm expecting him to be in rhythm against this Miami Dolphins team. And we just need a home win, man. We just need a home win. So I'm looking forward to that, man. I'm looking forward to continue to watch this offense.
That's a perfect transition into this week's injury report, because we're talking about getting lucky. Everybody's fixated on Tua, as you should, right? Starting quarterback. But dude, Byron Jones is supposed to come back this week off IR. Their number one quarterback. He's not coming back. That's huge for us.
Yeah.
Xavier Howard not practicing with a groin. That's huge for us. Teron Armstead, their left tackle, not practicing with a toe. He's been out for a while, so that one's on you, but that's still tough. Both of their guards are not practicing, right? I saw Robert Jones isn't. I think maybe just Robert Jones. He's not practicing. But again, it's still early. Jalen Wild didn't practice with a groin. I'm sure he's going to play. I'm not going to get excited about that. Melvin Ingram, he'll play. That's just a rest. Other than that, they're okay. Even Keon Grossen, he's their their third corner. He's out, or he's not practicing for now. I just think they have an interesting injury report. They have a really tough week, and if I'm Miami, this is a nice letdown spot. You know what I mean? It's a division game. We don't have our quarterback. We don't have both of our honestly, our number two of our cornerbacks, our top two, maybe even our third, he's out. Jets are getting lucky in that situation. And you just mentioned the Jets wide receivers and how many yards they're going. Greg just mentioned Breece Hall is leading or top 5 in the league in catching yards or in the air. It's all established by, that ESPN clip that you guys are mentioning, right, with Marcus Spears and the Orlovsky and Mina Kimes. They mentioned the play action, dude. And when you go back and you watch what the Jets did well, it was established to run and have a play action. It opens up wide receivers. Elijah Moore's open. You can see it on the tape. The Philly, the Jets version of it with the gritty at the end. That's just extra stuff. And the other, we've doing, great things with special plays, right? We had the fake punt. We had the onside kick. We had that play. But we also almost literally lost the entire game due to a weird play where they threw it back to Wilson, and it could have been over. Over.
That was my takeaway on the rapid reaction. Like, what's up with the trick plays? What are we doing?
Yeah. Literally, the whole, everything would have been over. We would have fired Salah on the spot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Zach Wilson would have been done. And now, on the other side of that, he put a game-winning drive. until I was coach of the week. So we have the momentum.
Yeah.
Salah called out the Jets organization for him being outscored by almost 200 points, which is almost unheard of to division opponents. Obviously, he called out the winless record. He didn't mention that he didn't score a touchdown. I'll sit here and mention that for you guys, that the Jets have not scored a touchdown at MetLife Stadium. That's why we have nothing to cheer about. How loudly can I cheer for kicks and miss kicks? Like, it's just sarcastic at that point, right? Because he missed the kick at first, and then like I'm just now clapping that he made the next 45-yarder. Like, there's nothing here that's there to cheer for. So I understand him calling out the fans. He wants us to be there early. I'm not going to be there early. I'm going to be there just on time because I got that Knicks practice. But I'm going to be there on time. I'll be ready to cheer. But I need the Jets to actually come out hot for the first time. Obviously, I needed to score. It would be fantastic if we score on the first drive. But we have to take advantage of the cornerbacks that are injured with the wide receivers that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. We got to run the ball. Like Greg, you mentioned, we're unbelievable at running. And I'm going to call it, guys. I think Gardner gets his first pick this week.
Yo, our secondary has been, 4 interceptions last week. Our secondary has been on point.
Could have been 6. We dropped 2.
Yeah, but DJ Reed talked about communication, and you saw how much that changed, especially in the secondary last week with the 4 interceptions. Look, we're going to have Teddy Bridgewater under center. We already brought that up. Secondary, I feel like could take advantage of Teddy Bridgewater, considering that you think about Tua being with the first unit, getting all the reps during OTAs, everything else. Second string quarterbacks don't get a lot of repetitions. I think you can start taking advantage of that, especially with, yes, they're getting prepared for this week. It's a limited playbook to a certain degree, especially with the amount of repetitions that the second string quarterback gets with the first unit. I think this is a good chance for the secondary to get involved and take advantage of Teddy Bridgewater. We just need that front 7, man. Okay, can we get the front 7 to stop the run? Can we get them to take advantage? Can we get Carl Lawson, getting more pressures? Jermaine Johnson's been doing his thing, but come on, Carl Lawson.
So
come on, CJ Mosley.
CJ Mosley, a whole different story. But that's the thing with the actual D-line is the interior. We're killing them in the interior. That's why we're getting pressure. So this is the first time where I don't feel like it's BS. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry. The interior linemen, they're doing work. It's just not showing up in the stats. So they used to lie to us with the Sheldon Richardson and Mo Wilkerson, right? Where it's like, all right, bro, but like at some point to see the penetration at least go, collapse in the pocket. I need to see other players pressuring, the quarterback to get out of the pocket from the other side. You see Quinnen Williams literally forcing the quarterback to one side, and then the players converging. They're actually playing team defense. At some point, it's going to come together. Greg, you mentioned how depleted our offensive line was. There's a lot of teams with way worse injuries I'm starting to notice, like the Chargers, like the Dolphins this week. Like, there's a lot of teams with depleted offensive lines, and we have to take advantage. If we don't win this week, we're not even going to be we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to make the hunt. I know it's crazy because it's so early in the season and we're 2-2. But if we can't beat Miami with no Tua and no cornerbacks at home, or we're desperate for a home win, it's over. Like, just forget it. This season is literally just a normal, regular old season. Let's just hit 500 and call it a day. So for me, this is a huge, huge, huge game.
Yeah, I'm with you. You guys were talking about Sauce. I don't know if you guys saw someone interviewing Sauce. It was after practice, before practice, something like that, talking about Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill's speed. And he was like, hey, man, like, I played against Jamison Williams in college. Like, he's the fastest wide receiver at Alabama last few years.
I wish you didn't bring up that game, because when I was reviewing so much Gardner tape, that was the worst game for me to watch. Yeah. So I wish
I got ways to deal with it. Like, I'm not gonna be. He's like Jameson Williams isn't Tyreek Hill speed, but he's like, I got ways to do it. It's not gonna catch me off guard. Which, like, I think that's great to hear from a rookie. And then also, obviously, DJ Reed's been around a little bit too. Like, he could help him with it. So, to your point, Alex, I think you made the comment on one of our rapid reaction videos. Like, has DJ Reed's comments and tone kind of, made it through this defense? And this defense is kind of clicking a little bit. John, you talked about team defense too. Like, I really do think that this team is playing defense a whole lot better. The players are helping other players make plays, and that's what you need if you're going to succeed. Yes, Joyner had 2 picks and, Whitehead had 1 and Michael Carter had another, but other players were making plays so they could intercept the ball and get a tip ball and make something happen. Yes, Quinton Williams had a sack, but he also helped other people get sacks. So if this defense
apply pressure. Apply pressure.
If this
And the
defense
thing is,
keep
man,
playing team defense, I think we got a good shot this week against Miami and Teddy Bridgewater.
And then the thing is, like, for Teddy Bridgewater, when he's played close to a full season or most of a full season, like his rookie season, got sacked 39 times. Second year, played 6.
How what year was that, bro? Was
Huh?
that fetus? What year were we talking?
2012.
That's 2014.
Oh,
2014.
okay,
2014, he got sacked 39 times. 15, 44 times. Then 2020, 31 times. Last season, 31 times. Teddy Bridgewater, you can get to him, okay? He's not the most – it seems like he's not the most aware quarterback, all right? So I'm just saying Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, Quinton Williams, you got your prime opportunity right now. He got sacked last week. He was sacked once, but I'm looking for this I'm looking for this defensive line, not offensive line, defensive line to get after Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, if you saw last week with Teddy Bridgewater, he threw the game-ending interception because there's just miscommunication. He thought when the guy saw a certain type of coverage on the route, he was going to fade right, and instead he cut left. Like, we can take advantage of stuff like that. He's had 1 week to prepare for this game. To your point, Alex, it's been Tua all season, getting the reps, getting the OTA practice, getting the training camp stuff. So there's going to be growing pains for this team, so we have to strike when the iron's hot. We have to score touchdowns at MetLife, and we have to be the divisional opponent. The fact that there's a shot right now at being 3-2 in October and having 2 October wins, I can't remember the last time we had 2 October wins, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But we have to strike when the iron's hot. We have to get this win this week.
Yeah, man. We could potentially be tied for first in the division if we win this week.
Don't even get me started, John.
Talk about getting ahead of yourself.
Don't even get me started, John.
It could be crazy out here. And all
Pittsburgh's going to upset Buffalo, maybe? No, that's not going to happen.
All we have to do is make an open field tackle, in my opinion. But before we jump into this interview with our friend from the FanSided Network, Paul Picken, on his podcast On The FinSide, let me ask you guys this real quick. A nice little hypothetical to get us out here. What's going to happen first? A Gardner interception or a Jets touchdown at home?
Jets touchdown at home.
Jets touchdown, but I need a Gardner interception on Winning P Weekly. I took the prop over 1.5, so I need some interceptions. That would hurt me last week, Sauce. I knew exactly what you were talking about, John, because I was screaming about it. So let's get it going, Sauce. Number 1 player according to what, DJ Bieniemy. So congrats on that. Let's keep it going here, but we need some interceptions. Maybe we got to cash this ticket.
We got to win this game, bro. Plus 3.5 and the money line.
All right, but before we get out of here, we got to give our takes on what the score will be, who's winning. John, I'm going to start with you first. What's the score? Who's winning?
Jets are going to win 20-13.
Wow. Taking my score from last week. I like it.
Well, I had 2016 last week, right?
Yeah, you had 20-16. Taking my score 20-13. I like it.
Yeah.
Greg, what do you
close.
got?
24-20.
I said on Winning P Weekly, I like the over on this one just because I think the Miami defense is banged up a little bit. We can throw the ball. They can throw the ball. I think there's going to be some explosive plays, some big plays. So, I don't know. Give me Jets 30, Miami 22.
Holy cow.
24.
Wow.
We scored 31 against the Browns.
Man, let's go 30-24.
At
But
home?
we scored 0 touchdowns
man.
at MetLife, so I can't. That's why
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
I
saying.
gave us 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. That's the most I could do.
We will have a deep touchdown. I don't know who. I don't know where. Corey Davis was a top 5 in the league and catches over 15 or 20 yards or something like that. I forget the actual graphic we were sharing today.
Garrett Wilson, 60-plus yard touchdown. That's the guy who's going to catch it.
I love it.
Sign me up.
Put the prop in now. Alex, what do you got for a score?
All right. So for my score, I'm going to go between where both you are. I'm going to go 20. I'm going to go 28. I'm going to go 28. Yeah, I'm getting up
I
there.
like it. 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, no field goals. Oh my god.
What? 28.
Where am I going on Sunday?
28-24 Jets.
Amazing. I would have the happiest drive of my life. We have 4 touchdowns.
John might not make it home. He might be partying at MetLife.
Listen, the last time I saw Zach Wilson, the last memory of mine, how about that? Because I
I
remember
like that.
exactly. The last memory of mine of Zach Wilson at MetLife was him throwing 4 interceptions to New England. So if he's gonna throw 4 touchdowns, sign me up, bro. Sign me the
We
hell
might
up.
run a couple. We might run a couple, John, but he's gonna throw.
Yeah,
He's
give
definitely
Michael
gonna
Carter,
throw
man.
one.
Michael Carter needs his touchdown for the season.
He
All right,
does.
Brees Hall's got his. Let's get to Michael Carter this week. Hopefully, Michael Carter can get
Carter
a
had a
bunch of
touchdown
touchdowns.
last week. Got brought back by a flag. Nonsense.
No,
His own flag.
Yeah.
it stinks. Come on, Michael, we got you. MC, we got MC squared with the intel last week. We need MC to get that touchdown. We got to even all out. Even it all out. But hey, we're gonna take this break. We'll come back with Paul Picken on the FinSide to give us that Miami Dolphins Jets matchup breakdown.
Let's go.
There, but Paul, how you doing, man? How are you feeling? Thank you for joining us and getting into this Jets Dolphins matchup. What's going on, man? How you been?
Dude, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm a little bummed out because most years I go down with 1,300 Dolphin fans and go to the game at MetLife every year. But unfortunately, I'm in my own playoff push right now, as I know I told you guys about off the air. So I won't be able to be at the game on Sunday, but it's shaping up to be an interesting one.
We're really gonna miss you, man. We're really gonna miss you out here at MetLife, and we're really disappointed that you're not coming out here with a couple thousand Dolphins fans ruining MetLife. And honestly, like our coach called us out this week. It's funny you mentioned, like, literally, he said we need the fans out here. We don't really have a home field advantage. Kind of admitted to it. We haven't won any division games with Salah. We haven't won any division games with Joe Douglas. We've been getting outscored by almost 200 points in football, which is insane to the division. I mean, I get it, but we haven't scored any touchdowns at home this year. So, it's all full circle, but I'm going to tell you what, man. We have you here. You're a friend, fan-sided partner, but we are looking to squish the fish this week, man. We need it. We need it more than anything in the whole
With
world.
the heart too. Don't worry, Paul. I got you with the heart. Don't worry, I got you.
We need it more than anything in the whole world. And we're 2-2. You're 3-1. What's your take on the Dolphins season so far? I mean, you've had ups and downs everywhere. From your quarterback, supposed to be the worst, and now he was the best. And then you have the injury controversy. You got the rookie head coach we're all making fun of in the press conferences before he even got hired. Like, who is this guy? He's in over his head. Doing pretty well. Even showed up with Jordans like the first game.
He did
like,
show up with Jordan's
like,
first week.
all right, this is not going to work out. But he's been doing great. The Dolphins have been on a nice trajectory. Tyreek Hill ended up making a great decision by joining Miami. What's your take on the Miami Dolphins this year right now, sitting the top of the AFC East?
I'm feeling real good. I expected Miami to start off 3-1. It's a different 3-1 than I expected. I actually expected us to probably drop the first game to the Bills. And I expected us to beat the Bengals, which it is what it is. McDaniel's a guy that it's very easy to look at him and look past him. He's not your conventional coach. But if you go back and you deep dive and look at all the signs with when he was in San Francisco and then throughout his career, it's when they had McVay and Hackett and all those guys out there in San Francisco, they would basically tell Mike, all right, go figure out what we're doing on offense this week. And then come back. He would come back on Wednesdays, teach them the offense for the week, teach them the new signals, the motions, all of that. And they would spend the rest of Wednesday and Thursday installing the offense. There are very few people I've seen where all of these guys that are head coaches now, including Shanahan, would be in a room, and the second he started talking, they would quiet down and you'd see them listening with rapt attention. It's when Juszczyk and Kittle were in the Pro Bowl, they called him on FaceTime from the bench to brag about, did you see my block? Did you see my score? Like all these things. Like, and there's something different about the way he sees football. They talked to a couple of folks, the names are escaping me right now, about the way that he pulled receivers aside to work on releases off the line of scrimmage, and the ways to do it that are different than what people expect. And that would keep them open all game. The little like nano details, like the fact that on a lot of counters and dives, they perform a pitch instead of a handoff. And like I don't know if you've seen this interview with him with the media. It's they looked at him and they said, well, normally when you pitch the ball, it's trying to get to the edge. Why would you do that? And he looked at him and he said, you answered your own question there. Like these linebackers, these defensive players, they're all set up and trained for years to read their keys and the little things and every little bit of motion, et cetera, that he does on a weekly basis sets up the following week where he's doing the exact opposite with those things. And you see him with the way he schemes things, put people so far out of position to be able to even make the play that now not only are you trying to block, instead of trying to block 11 with 10, you're now trying to block, and we're just talking about on a running play, you're trying to block 7 with 10 because these 3 or 4 guys are out of position now. And then you pitch the ball back on that play on a counter going to the left, you pitch it off behind you to the right. That entire linebacking unit, you can see it. There's so many breakdowns out there of this. You would see the entire linebacking unit shift this way. So now when you run that counter, you're going back against the grain, and there's a lane before you even block anybody. And it's really cool seeing the way he loves football and the way he sees football and sees the game. And you can see it with the way that he cares about these players. You can see it with the fact that his big thing was about being a teacher. And in that regard, people forget that that's your biggest role as a coach is teaching, and that you should always, no matter what you do in life, be learning. Anyway, that was my short answer.
No, that's great.
That's fine because not many people know this, but McDaniel is from the same tree as LaFleur, right? So we have basically Mike McDaniel as our coordinator, and that's why it's impressive that he's able to actually be a head coach on both sides of the ball, right? Like off air, we were kind of talking about Adam Gase, and we're talking about Rex Ryan, both coaches in this division at some point, and they're only very focused on one side of the ball, right? We had Todd Bowles, same way. Like I feel like this division always ends up like that. So it's just really interesting that this guy was able to move on and be a full head coach, and like you said, be an actual leader. It's taken us all by surprise, right? Yeah. And the second thing that's taken us all by surprise is Tua. Like Tua going into the season, we were laughing. Like we were ready to go. Like, okay, great. You have Waddle, you have Hill, like no problem. You don't have anywhere to throw it to him. So unless it's a screen, it's not a big deal. Like we all laughed about the underthrows. He had a couple underthrows, but Tyreek Hill is able to adjust and take care of it. So before we get into all the controversy and stuff, right? You talked about the leadership, right? We know that there's a lot of weird stuff coming out of the leadership with the Dolphins in general. But before we get into that, what did you think about Tua just in the 3 weeks? I know he looks like the MVP, right? if you take those 3-4 weeks, but what do you're level headed, you're a coach yourself, but you're also been a Dolphins fan this whole time. So what are your thoughts about Tua?
So I think Tua was very unfairly judged, and some of that was a byproduct of the coaching staff over the past 3 years. Some of that was a byproduct of the injury coming out of college, which, anybody that knows anything about quarterback mechanics knows that you need to be able to get drive with your legs. And, where he was at his rookie year, as far as that goes, wasn't a good place. And then we went through 4 offensive coordinators in 3 years. And when we had co-offensive coordinators, supposedly they weren't even calling the plays with our defensive minded head coach. We had such bad game planning on offense and scheme on offense that I remember last year when they did finish the year strong and they dropped the game in Tennessee. We knew all week long that weather was going to be a factor that day. We knew it was supposed to be rainy and slushy and icy and snowy and you name it. Everybody knew it. There was no secret. And you watch that game they were getting it done in the running game, and I think they only ran the ball like 12 times in that game, and they were averaging 5.6 yards per carry, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And they stuck to the passing game and shotgun snaps and all the things you don't want to do in that type of weather. And I remember watching it. I remember doing our post game that night and talking about the fact that it's like they didn't plan for the weather at all. And not 2 days later, Mike Gesicki was doing an interview, and somebody asked him very specifically, Mike, it looked like you guys didn't plan for the weather being a factor. Did you guys have different game plans based upon the weather, or what you were going to do if it was icy and freezing and slippery and you name it? And you see Gesicki think for a moment, and then he leans forward and just goes, no.
I love that. Coming
Like,
from Kiseki too, who like he has his own issues with the game plan, right? Like going into this year, it was this guy can't block. He's not going to be part of this offense at all. Meanwhile, he's killing it on this offense.
well, he's up and down. Like he hasn't settled into a role yet. He's not a big blocker, but at the end of the day, he will get in somebody's way. And the things that he does well are special. Like, you go back to that Ravens game, and there was literally a lob that Tua threw at the crossbar. And you just see this 6'6" monster with the wingspan of a condor leap up and snatch it out of the air and come down with his feet in the end zone. I can't think of another player off the top of my head in the NFL that makes that catch. Like, receiver, tight end, you name it. Like, you know, maybe if we could convince Sean Kemp in his prime to come out of retirement, he'd jump up and snatch that ball out of the air, or Manute Bol or Dikembe Mutombo. But beyond that, like,
I don't know if Dikembe Mutombo's running 50 yards for a catch, my man.
Right. Well, no, this was a nice easy one from like the 12.
Okay.
It was just a lollipop jump ball.
That's actually hilarious. Yeah. Listen, Tua's been impressive so far. The Dolphins have been impressive so far. There's no doubt. But you're not surprised that they're 3-1?
No, I predicted it.
What did you see that made that you could be confident that they're going to go 3-1? I mean, you guys went from Brian Flores, who did a pretty solid job, in my opinion.
About that, Alex.
Yeah, like he went from Brian Flores to now McDaniels. Like, can I ask you about that? What was your whole thought process from going from Flores, who seemed to be doing well with the Dolphins?
Ready to move on.
You're ready to move on from Flores?
Are you done with the Flores controversy, or does that affect it, or actual gameplay from last year?
So here's the thing. So Miami, it had to do with gameplay from last year.
Okay.
When Miami started winning games down the stretch, I never want to lose. I'm not one of those tank for anybody guys. But there were so many things that I pointed at during the season last year, both while losing and while winning, that basically were all just what the hell moments. And like, Miami's defense towards the end of the year before had struck gold with the way that they were utilizing the cover zero, the way that they were utilizing the blitzes. And that's no secret there, because it's Josh Boyer, like Mike McDaniel, sees football differently, which I think is really cool. He spent 1 year, I believe it was as the defensive coordinator at the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology before getting signed to the Patriots staff years ago. And there aren't a lot of people that jump from the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology football program to the NFL, especially after 1 year. And the big thing there was, this was like an MIT type school where it's a bunch of engineers and you know, technology focused people. And so you don't get a lot of big burly football players at the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. I just love saying it. I'm sorry.
Of course, yeah. It's just as fun as saying Carson Wentz went to North Dakota or whatever. It's like, all right, like,
Right, like,
yeah.
but I mean, literally, like, not even just South Dakota, but the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. Like, their fan store is amazing. I've actually looked through it. I'm thinking about getting myself something.
You should. You should start pulling up in that gear.
It's so much fun looking through it. Like, you can get your own geology set that's branded from the school if that tells you anything.
That's dope.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, like it's. But so because of that, he had redesigned the way he schemed defenses as far as being able to create pressure, and do some special things, utilizing all the personnel on the field, sometimes in different ways. And so they had hit on that, and they had set their personnel up, and then they spent an off season setting their personnel up even further with that to be able to really just lean into that defense. So they were looking for a different style of guy in some cases than this guy is 6'5" and 275-pound linebacker. Like, okay, cool. It doesn't fit what we want to do. So all of y'all can chase and fight over that guy while we build something different. And they set up the defense even better, loaded up that defense to be able to do that. And then they came out and they ran this like vanilla 3-4-4-3 hybrid BS garbage stuff right up until the Ravens game last year. And then they went, we got the personnel to run this other scheme, and we've really outthought everybody and didn't. And maybe we should try it. And the results against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on Thursday Night Football were astounding. Like, they literally just ruined Lamar Jackson's season last year, and the Ravens were hot. And then Miami started winning games down the stretch, and that's despite not having an offensive game plan. Like, and I hate to put it that way, but
so you think that's why it was easy for you to kind of move off Flores, because you started off winning games, and week one was great, and so that was why you think it was easy to move up.
It was a big part of it.
Say.
I mean, it's the contacts that I've got in Miami, etc. There was a lot of things below the surface about Flores being very hard to work with, and
come from the owner, I'm sure.
not just from the owner, but I mean, I'm talking in terms of like, chasing a coordinator out of the building, like before they even having a single practice. A well-respected one. The fact that we literally streamed offensive coordinators the way some fantasy football guys stream kickers. Like, it just, you start looking down the list and, totally mismanaging the defense. And literally, it's like, oh, if you thought about that one game sooner, we'd be in the playoffs. Like, how do you not, like, they signed, the name's escaping me, this punter who was the holder on field goals. Jason Sanders went from one of the most automatic kickers in the NFL to horrific.
Welcome to our life.
and literally, fans are breaking it down, and it was something where he was the holder's pulling his hands out too soon. Mm-hmm. And we saw it for weeks. And a head coach in the NFL who your only job is to fix the issues on your team and put these people in position to succeed. And all of a sudden, like, he gets asked about it, and then they start trying to fix it. Like,
so he doesn't have like the wherewithal to like really be a step ahead of the game. Like, oh, this thing should be fixed. He's just waiting for someone to really critique it and then kind of address it afterwards.
Well, and don't critique it directly to him.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I've seen him undress reporters for like asking a simple question, and not in the Belichickian like, I didn't read the MRI. I can't read an MRI. Like, but in the, you think that's funny? You have an idea? You head coach? Like, bro, chill. Like, it is
nice. It is nice to have personality. I mean, we're going through that with Salah. It rubs people the wrong way when you're losing, and it rubs people the exact right way when you're winning. Like, that's why everyone loves McDaniels right now. Everything's fantastic. Life is great. You could say he could show up with Jordans. He can make jokes. He could play Allen Iverson crossover tape, for the team, and it all sounds fantastic. But if you guys were losing right now, and then you just went through the Tua controversy, which we need your take on that. We've been it's a national news. Everybody has a take on it, but from a Dolphins perspective, this is your quarterback. I cannot imagine what we'd be doing if this was Zach Wilson. You know what I mean? Like if we're dangling Zach Wilson around for a regular season win, we'd be having a lot of issues, right? So
I mean, we were also saying like, hey, don't rush Zach back off of just a knee injury, right? I mean, from an outsider's perspective, we see Tua go back in there where it was clearly a concussion. Like I've had concussions play rugby. I'm like, that's a concussion. There's no way you're like dropping like that. And then he plays Thursday night on a short week.
And he won though. He won off a concussion. You know what I'm saying? He won.
Yeah. So Paul, what's your opinion on like the whole Tua controversy?
So there's a lot to unpack with this. The first thing I'll unpack is the national media has made this so horrific. And a lot of the folks I hear in the national media either have come out with hypocrisy. It's Jeff Saturday as an example. He came out with this, oh, this is horrible, you're never blah 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 blah. And then literally 2 segments later does pancake blocks of the week and talks about a guy suplexing a dude. He's like, drop him on his head. Yeah. Like, okay. Like you're saying what you think you're supposed to hear, but now you're saying over here, drop this dude on his head and suplex him. Come on, Jeff. On top of that, you've got a lot of misinformation that people put out there that I know are in position that they understand. Like the doctor that cleared Tua in the Bills game is not an employee of the Miami Dolphins. He is
every team has an independent neurologist. Every single team has one.
Yeah, he's an independent neurologist that is assigned by the NFL Players Association that cleared him. There are, and I apologize if I don't use the right medical terminology here, but there are baseline brain scans that these players go through. That part of clearing from the concussion is normalizing those scans, and every box along the way. It's not just knowing the answers when somebody asks you the concussion questions. Like, no, I don't see stars. Yes, I remember everything. No, my head doesn't hurt. That's been a very, very popular take that players kind of know how to answer the question. They know what the score is. They know what quarter it is. They know what day it is, so they can get through those questions that you're mentioning. But they can't get through the full blown checks. And I'm willing to give a little bit of room here as far as the wobble he had when he got up or was walking to the sidelines after the hit.
It just looks so bad on TV, man.
It looks bad, but it looks bad in context. If you've already got an idea in your head about a situation and you look at something, you go, yeah, see? Yeah, see? Like,
are you buying the back and neck injury there?
Back and ankle.
You buying that?
To an extent. Now, do I think he had a concussion the first week? I didn't check him out.
Let's guess. Probably. Let's just say probably.
It's a maybe.
It's like leaning towards yes, right? Like that's the thing. Like I also want to win the football game as much as anybody else, right? If I'm a Dolphin fan, I need to win this game, dude. We can't have a backup in. We need Tua. He's killing it. I understand it, but at the same time, obviously, you don't stumble with an ankle like that. You know what I mean? You don't stumble with 2 feet.
What I will say is with a back injury, like you'll stumble with an ankle, but not like that. But with a back injury, because of all the nerves in your spine that go through there, I've seen it. I've dealt with it. I've seen that very same stumble from a back injury. Something tightens up and you drop funny because your fucking back. Or sorry,
it's all good. It's all good. You're good.
But you drop a little bit funny because your back seizes up and weird. Like there's so many weird like nerve endings and things like that in your back that can cause your body to convulse in different ways. That I'm willing to give him that. I mean, don't get me wrong. It looks horrific when the following week or 4 days later, he gets slammed the way he did into the artificial turf, no less, and the much less forgiving field. And you see the finger seize up.
That was so bad.
In all of that, but it's and given the fact of how thoroughly he was examined before even coming back in the game, what I know of McDaniel, both from just watching everything and from people down in Miami, he would have never put Tua back in that game if that was the case.
Oh, sure. I don't think that the Dolphins independently went over the consultant. The consultant was obviously fired. They blamed him. I also personally I have more of an issue with him coming in during the game. I don't really have an issue with him playing the next game. I know it was a short week, but I'm sure he practiced fine and he was good to go. And at some point, it's up to the player to, the brain injuries. They know how serious it is. And they know it's not all detectable unless you say something. You gotta say something, man. At some point, it has to be on the player.
I'll push back on that just because as a player who's had a concussion, playing rugby, you want to play, man. Like there's no doubt about it. Like I played rugby at Albany, went down to Iona. I got clocked, shoulder to the head. I forget for like a minute. I was just on the ground. Iona coaches come out. They asked me all the questions, that Paul was saying, like, what are you doing? What position do you play? I was like, outside center, playing rugby. They're like, where are you? I'm like, I'm here. They're like, where's here, buddy? I'm like, I'm at Iona. They're like, all right, you're good. Go play. But I should not have played. Like, but I wanted to go play. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to a certain extent, a player is going to want to be out there. They want to compete. There's just that natural instinct. And that's where you hope a doctor, whoever comes in and just kind of reels you and saying, nah, man, for your safety, don't do that. And the thing about that game for me, I went and played after that game. We had another game back to back, and I played another game. And so, learning more and just being a college kid, then you're like, oh, I should not have done that at all. So
it's and as a youth coach, just as an example, they have you go through this entire USA football certification, and concussion awareness stuff is a huge portion of that. And one of the things we've done, and obviously it's on a different scale with the kids, is if we have a suspicion, I've taken a kid's helmet away, given it to an assistant coach just so they couldn't even slip in the game, and literally had to tell a kid before, like, your next 10 minutes are not worth your next 10 years. Like, I lost it on another coach at a game for a player safety reason, for knowing that a guy on their team had a concussion during the game and them trying to put him back in the game. Like, it isn't worth it, but we also have to take with a grain of salt what we're hearing from the media, because believe it or not, this may surprise everybody, including, but the national media does tend to be about clicks. And
I mean, you're speaking to the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast, man. The Jets have been the last pick of the draft for 3.5 years going, according to ESPN. The
Knicks for quicks is a national saying, or especially
every single player in the
about
NBA.
Knicks for quicks.
If anybody does well in the NBA, we get a graphic about, or an article the next day about how the Knicks were supposed to get him, or his dad is a Knicks fan. I mean, every single time.
To be fair, your Jets reporters don't even always bother to go to the things themselves. They just send some kid and write the story, and
yeah. I mean, we've had,
and that's why he's not there anymore.
Oh, manish.
We've had turnover at the Daily News. We have a turnover at the Athletic. It's tough out there, man. But let's get into this game, dude, because
there's one of those too.
There's one of those. I mean, there's a lot of history here. We're really happy to have you on. We need the Dolphins background, because we're Jets fans, man. We're biased. We hate the Dolphins. We hate Miami. We hate the Dolphins, and we hate Tua, but to a certain extent, right? Like, we love him as a human being, and so this was a big deal for us, right? We hate the Dolphins, but this was a crazy topic, so that's why I wanted to get into that. We hate McDaniels, but he's from our same coaching tree, So we got, you know what I'm saying?
Come on, he came out with a
it.
cute Robert Saleh story this week. Come on.
Yeah, like he's a little bit up and down. He's just got to get the wins. He's got the rah good, but he's got to get the wins. And man, we got a big one at MetLife.
You guys will get there. Like as far as that goes, you're not far off.
It's gonna be this week. I need to be above 500 this week.
Say yes, Paul. Say yes. we have you on the record.
Okay. All right,
Nope.
we're talking about injuries here. We're talking about injuries.
Yep.
I was joking around. I was going through the Dolphins injury report. I'm scrolling down. It's like 6-page report. I'm like
I can't read that many words. Like,
it's crazy.
You got, I mean, obviously Tua. You got Jalen Waddle who's questionable. You got Armstead who's questionable. You got Xavier Howard. You got Byron Jones is out. Like, what are the Dolphins looking like, man? What's
so
how are you all feeling this week?
You got to read between the lines there because they have to report on anybody that misses a practice.
Right.
Teron Armstead, I don't think he's actually practiced since the regular season began.
He literally he has a toe though now, yeah.
But it's so he has to show up on the injury report. He played every snap last week, I believe.
Yeah.
He's going to play. Xavier Howard is going to play. Now, will he see every single snap in the game? Probably not. But again, it's going to be a situation where he's going to play plenty. And even I'd take 80% of Xavier Howard over 100% of most cornerbacks in the NFL.
Did X finish the game last week?
He came off towards the end, and they put Keon Crossan in, who also is on the injury.
Yeah, he's also on the list. Yeah, I know. Which is funny. Like I am the most excited guy that Byron Jones is not coming off IR. I will gladly say that. I don't care. I was very scared of that happening because I was like, oh, all right. Like, Byron Jones is going to come back.
He hasn't even started his 21-day window to return yet.
I thought it was coming. I thought because we have our left tackle, Dwayne Brown, on the same trajectory. So I was like, yeah, we're going to get Dwayne Brown, but they're going to get Byron Jones. So I'd rather just both of them sit out.
Yeah, no, it's but at the same time, don't overlook undrafted rookie Kader Kohou. Do not overlook Kader Kohou. He came from Texas A&M. Oh God, what's the extras on this one?
You want the full name?
It's like Texas A&M School of Finance or something like
Texas A&M Commerce.
Yes, Commerce.
You love the full names. I dig it.
Like but it's funny because when they signed him as an undrafted, like he was a guy I was looking at in the final rounds going like, get this dude. And they signed him as an undrafted free agent, gave him, I think, the second biggest bonus of anybody that they signed as undrafted free agents this year. And I drove my co-host Kat nuts because I couldn't stop singing this guy's praises, both his coverage ability, his tackling ability, you name it. And he's lived up to his billing so far. He's gone against some very, very, very good receivers these first 4 weeks and just gotten the job done. And if Xavier Howard can go, that puts Kader Kohou over on the opposite side and Nick Needham in the slot, which Nick Needham is not a good boundary corner, but he's a fantastic slot corner. And Miami's secondary with Brandon Jones and Eric Rose supporting Javon Holland, who Javon Holland is looking like an all-pro steal from last year's draft.
What is with you guys and safeties, man? My whole life,
don't you start. Don't have a Jets fan ask me about safeties after taking one in the first round like 8 years running.
Hey, we took one in the first 2 rounds, good sir. We took
exactly. We took first round and second round. So we're up there, but we still don't have one. You know what I'm saying? You guys always have a damn safety. It drives me nuts.
Well, Javon Holland is looking like the best one we've had in over a decade.
Better than Jones?
Yeah.
Dude,
I love Rashad Jones. He got a raw deal and was underappreciated.
Yeah.
But Javon Holland is on track to be literally a perennial all-pro.
Interesting. Nobody cares, but like my first fantasy leagues ever that I had, you were able to pick that one defensive player. Yes, it would always be Rashad Jones. It would always.
Oh, dude. And he killed it.
Yeah.
But no, like this defense is thriving overall. And a lot of that has to do with not just the scheme, but just the play of a lot of guys that people haven't quite heard of yet. Guys like Zach Sealer, who is utterly phenomenal as that hand in the dirt defensive end, or occasionally sliding into nose in place of Raekwon Davis on certain downs.
That's what we're worried about. See that? One of our favorite things about the preview episode with the upcoming guest is we know our weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
We know our center stinks. We are 100% sure our McGovern is horrible. So the interior defensive line, that's exactly what we're worried about. We cannot guard a tight end.
And our offensive line is just injured, so we're just worried about the front.
Yeah, we're worried about tight ends. We know Gesicki's going to tear us up because we can't guard him. We talked about our safeties. They stink, but they had a great week last week. Our linebackers, horrible in coverage. I mean, we just thank the Lord that they could tackle. They tackle an open field. We sing our graces. What's the strength of this defense? You talked about the safety. You talked about the defensive end. What are we really worried about here? Like, where can we strive? Can you guys stop the run?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I know what the stats say, but I want to know, like, from the Dolphins fan.
Yeah. No, it's a defense that's predicated on speed and unpredictability. Like, and a lot of, and I hate to keep bashing the major media, but a lot of major media, because the Dolphins will have on any given down up to 8 or 9 guys up on the line of scrimmage. And the mainstream media sits there and throws out they're bringing the house again. Like, bro, they're only rushing 4 or 5 guys tops. It just looks like they're bringing the house, so you don't know who's coming and who's dropping. They're very good at swatting passes at the line of scrimmage. Christian Wilkins, who I was about ready to move on from last year at the beginning of the year, really turned it around last season and this season, especially with a running mate in Zach Sealer. Now, you brought up McGovern. One thing he doesn't have to worry about is Raekwon Davis is very, very good at the point of attack as a nose tackle, but he's not your pass rush penetration type of guy.
Thank God.
But I will say, a Landon Roberts or Jerome Baker on a blitz, he's going to struggle with. It's, if you want to see one of the coolest sack plays in the past couple of years, look up Jerome Baker's 25-yard loss sack against Pat Mahomes last year. I think it was 25 yards. It might have been 30. Like, it was Pat Mahomes did his normal, spin off of somebody, and Jerome Baker is just so damn fast when he does blitz, which he hasn't done a lot of yet this year, that Pat Mahomes did his spin around, expected to be able to make a pass off of it, and there was Jerome Baker to light him up at the 3-yard line.
That's scary. I don't like that, man. Our quarterback has a knee injury, dude. I don't like the sound. I don't like the sound of that.
Well, Landon Roberts is like, he has a lot of flaws to his game, but is probably one of the best linebackers that you want to have when you're facing a team that's in 3rd or 4th and 1, or goal to go from the 1-yard line. Landon Roberts always shows up in those moments. Like, if you watch last week's game, I believe it was in the 3rd quarter, Landon Roberts ran up to the line of scrimmage, moved the defensive tackles around, and just ran over. And when I say ran over, I mean ran over the right guard Kappa for the Bengals. Like, literally, this linebacker flew in like a rocket, ran him over, blew up the hole, and stopped them short of the goal line to where the rest of the defense could come in and clean up. It's their opportunistic defense. They bend but don't break right now. But again, they always seem to get the key plays and key moments. And you've got guys like Javon Holland, who I mentioned, and Brandon Jones, who blitz more than any other safety tandem in the NFL. And it's not just running up the middle. It's they end up with a lot of quarterback hits, pressures, and sacks, like, that you don't expect from the safety position.
Well, thank the Lord Flacco isn't there.
That's that unpredictability you're talking about. So, and
Exactly.
that's for an offense that's just trying to click for the Jets, with Zach Wilson coming back for his 2nd game, trying to get in rhythm with Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, even trying to get Breece Hall and Michael Carter. That sounds like hell for the Jets offensive side of the ball, especially since our offensive line, has been through so much turmoil with injuries.
Yeah.
Flip it to the other side. What do you make of this offense? Is the offense is opportunistic? Because they're pretty explosive, especially with Tyreek Hill, do you think it's because the way you've talked about the defense, it sounds like structured chaos, for the defense where no one understands what's coming. Is the offense structured chaos, or is it just like, guys, we're just doing something and it's just working?
Yeah.
No,
is it going to be more vanilla with Teddy?
I would say yes, but even just watching some of the play calls once he came in, no.
That's what we're hoping for.
Here's the thing though. It's one of the things I love that you said structured chaos. It's the Dolphins have really coined over the past few years on defense the term positionless football. And they're starting to get to that with the offense in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, they're still lining up a left tackle, right tackle. You got your legal formations you have to do, etc. But beyond that, the shifts and motions and the fact that, they're trying to, play magic tricks with the defense and make them sit back and think, because every thought that a defender has to have in any given moment slows them down just by this much, then this much, then this much, then this much. And it puts you in better position to succeed. And, the number of times, let's see, Jalen Waddle is third on the team in rushing yards right now. And he's carried the ball. Cedric Wilson's carried the ball, also a receiver. Tyreek Hill's carried the ball. Like,
Cedric Wilson might be the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. That's my opinion. Cedric Wilson. I think he's the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL.
Absolutely. And I was jealous of Elijah Moore when you got him, to be honest with you. He was a big one.
He was a high draft pick. I mean, he's supposed to be good. True. Yeah. Cedric Wilson has no business being a real NFL receiver, and he's been under the radar for so long. Just as a division opponent, I am very aware of Cedric Wilson, man. He's a beast. He's so good.
So the funny thing when you say that about Cedric Wilson being so good, and I'm pulling this up right now because it's not a stat that I had in front of me ready to go. But I believe for his career, Cedric Wilson has a career passer rating.
Oh man.
Well, listen, if I bring that up, I'm gonna put Braxton Berrios his passer rating against anyone's, all right?
Well, but here's the thing. I believe he's thrown 5 passes in his career, all 5 completed. All of them have gone for, I think, 30 plus yards. I think he's got 2 scores. And there, if you go back and watch each of them, they're not ugly balls that he's throwing. Let's see. 5 for 5, 100% completion, 111 yards, 22.2 yard average, long of 35, 1 touchdown, 4 first downs. So it's been either a touchdown or a first down every time he's thrown the ball.
So he's going to throw against us for at least a trick play, is what you're saying.
He's going to throw against somebody sometime soon.
All right.
He hasn't been healthy.
Berrios is 1 for 1 with a touchdown. So
I was jealous of Berrios. I wanted him as a free agent this offseason. So
if he went from the Patriots to the Jets to the Dolphins, I would hate that guy. So thank God that we
he's very hateable when he's not on your team. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, now that you mentioned it, though, are you worried about anything on this defense? You kind of mentioned some guys on offense, but for us, I mean, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed have been the literal bright spots of this team. Nobody's talking about them, but they are unbelievable. They are holding this team down week to week, wins and losses. Honestly, it starts with and ends with them. Are you worried about anything on our defense, specifically the cornerbacks? Are you worried about anything about our offense? Like, what concerns the Dolphins about this Jets team?
I mean, Quinnen Williams is coming off a phenomenal week.
Mm-hmm.
He is. I mean, but the underrated thing for the Dolphins right now, and we joked a little bit off the air about the offensive line, they're not allowing a lot of pressures and sacks so far this season. They're really doing a surprisingly good job of gelling together. So I'm curious to see how that goes. John Franklin Myers always plays up against us. Let's face it. He always has his best 2 games of the year. One when Miami comes up here, one when you guys go down there.
He's due. That'd be fantastic for us, man. He's due.
Hey, man, got to earn that contract too.
He's been getting screamed at. He's been getting crushed by the Jets fans ever since he signed that contract.
I mean, it's really your corners that DJ Reed and Sauce that
I mean, that's our bright spots for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And for us, that's been like we're like, oh, the front sevens could be fine. They've been fine for the most part over the last couple of years. More so like the D line than is the linebacker core. But we're like going into the season, we gotta be a little cautious about the secondary, cautious about the quarterbacks. We're not sure if Sauce is gonna come here and be like that. And then it's like, oh, DJ Reed and Sauce are like that. So you're right, like that's our bright spots. That's why we're thinking against Teddy, maybe Sauce Gardner will get his first interception. But
he very well might.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that's very interesting with what the Dolphins have done thus far this season is they've managed to put defenses out of position. So it's you and I both know Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, you need safety help over the top. And they've managed to, if you go back and look at the Ravens game, they put a trips formation in that basically put Tyreek Hill on an island on the complete opposite side of the field. And I looked at that and went, dude, no way, really? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And you literally see, oh God, who was it? Marlon Humphrey, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
On which Marlon's a really good corner.
Yeah.
Literally stand there. He took 2 steps back and just went, nah. And just watched Tyreek zip by him. Like
it's zone.
What's that?
Were they playing zone or were they playing man? Like he literally just blew the coverage.
Well, if they were playing zone, no one else got the play call.
That sounds like the Dolphins play versus. I mean, the Browns play versus the Jets with Corey Davis because like one guy was playing zone and one guy was playing man, and they did not talk to each other. Corey Davis had a 60-yard easy touchdown.
Well, it was just comical too because like he took 2 steps and just went, like you just see him like I'm not going to catch him. Like he was
yeah.
Tyreek saw it, was like whoa, and literally just kicked it into overdrive and just sprinted straight. And they were already giving him like a 10-yard cushion, so he couldn't hit him once he got to him. And literally just watched him run by like Wile E. Coyote with the Roadrunner, like, oh, that sucks. Like, and
it's about keeping the ball in front of us. That's been the name of the game for our safeties, man. They've been so bad, but last week,
4 interceptions. Can't beat that.
This is what we're hoping for, man. We're hoping that Mitch, Trubisky, and Pickett equals Bridgewater. Like we were sitting on the Tua, but we don't have to have that discussion. Thank God, right? We were on the he's just as bad as them, but he's proven us wrong. He's out this week. We're lucky.
Yeah.
We have Teddy Bridgewater. Can Teddy Bridgewater throw over 20 yards? Is he going to throw it over the top of Tyreek Hill? I know he did last week, but for me, there's something about
Tyreek went like this and caught it.
Quarterbacks coming back in, though. Quarterbacks coming in the middle of a game where teams aren't prepared is just different for me. Like if teams are prepared for Teddy, it's going to be a different situation.
It's similar to going from being a reliever to a starter in baseball, as far as the mindset goes. But at the same time, it's if you can throw over 20 yards, you can throw over 20 yards. Let's face it.
That's true.
And it's one of those things where what I would look out for if I were a Jets fan is those plays with misdirection where you see Sauce Gardner lined up covering Cedric Wilson. Or you see DJ Reed lined up covering Cedric Wilson.
Yeah.
Or
so
Mike
confusing
Gesicki.
us.
Because they're basically, if they're covering Cedric Wilson, Mike Gesicki, or Durham Smythe, or Alec Ingold, or Raheem Mostert out in the slot, or
he's been really good. I am slightly afraid of Mostert. I'm putting that on the record right now. I know Chase Edmonds, whatever. I am slightly afraid of Mostert. I watched last week. I am scared.
So Mostert as a runner, Edmonds as a receiving back.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the reason why I say when you see Sauce or DJ covering one of those guys is that means somebody else is on either Hill or Waddle. And that is not a scenario that plays out well. And this is just
no,
great
it's not
football
going to.
analysis when I say this.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the look on your face when I said, "Oh no!" Like,
Yeah.
you know exactly where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, so
we know what our safeties look like more than anybody in the world, man. We know. We know what our safeties look like. So if you're telling me that DJ Reed and Gardner are somehow going to be off Hill and Waddle on a play, it's over. Call timeout. Like, call timeout.
Well,
like,
and Miami will line them up in the back. Miami will trot Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert out on the field and have two guys in the backfield with Teddy Two Gloves. And the two guys in the backfield will be Waddle and Hill. You know, like,
it's terrifying. That's terrifying.
It's those are the scenarios where, like, if I were breaking this down for the other team, like, all right, what the hell are we going to do in this moment when that happens? Are we going to bring Sauce inside and, you know, put Jordan Whitehead and LaMarcus Joyner out on the split guys? And we're getting away from our style of defense, so people are going to get confused if we do that. So we shouldn't do that, but we should do that. Like, do we put CJ Mosley on Tyreek Hill? You're like,
good lord!
No.
I mean, don't get us started about linebackers guarding out running backs or whoever out of the backfield. We're not going to go in that. Let's not go there because it's just terrible, terrible, terrible.
And that's why we have to, because of the fact that, like, it's been a thing already.
Yeah.
And somebody that sees football different, like Mike McDaniel, is going to see those scenarios and go, dude, what if we
then
circle Gazeki. Take him in your daily fantasy.
That's a fact. So, Paul, to get you out of here, my man,
yes.
Last question. What do you think this record? What do you not the record, but what do you think the final score of this game is going to be, and who's winning?
I'm going to go with a 27-17 game. I think the Jets put up a little bit more than people expect in this one. You know, and I think Zach Wilson's mom's friend is going to get a chance to cheer from the front row.
I'm down.
If
that's going to get us a touchdown at home, I'll buy her a ticket.
Yeah, got her little Jets cheerleading outfit on in the front row. Woo, Zach.
Whatever Zach needs, man. Whatever Zach needs, I got him.
Whatever confidence, man.
End of the day, I think the difference in this is going to be a little bit of Raheem Mostert, but also Mike McDaniel moving the eye. And Zach Wilson is still a young quarterback that has a lot of potential, but against the defense where you have no idea who's dropping and who's coming, it causes moments of confusion, and those moments of confusion for a young quarterback can be tough as far as those go. And you know, that's where I can see him making a few mistakes. I know your line is banged up from earlier in the year or preseason or 3 years ago and still on IR.
Every week.
You know, and Miami's front seven is really good. I do see you guys squirting a few through against the defense because, again, it's Xavier Howard's not at 100%. You know, Cater Kohu's good, but Keon Croston's hurting a little bit. So I do see some things happening with that. But end of the day, I think Miami does take this one 27-17. And as per usual, I got to give the shout out here to the MetLife Takeover crew, which I know we hear them every year. Like, you hear them on the broadcast every year, which is really cool.
They're loud, and they have a whole section. And honestly, a little inside info, we changed it because of teams like the Dolphins. There used to be an away section in the 300s, and we kind of like the Jets kind of like have been making maneuvers to get rid of that because, yes, not only are opposing fans loud, but specifically Dolphins fans, man. The Dolphins fans every year, they occupy MetLife.
Well, just that group most years takes over at least 3 almost full sections up top.
Yeah.
And then I think this year they're literally, I want to say 4 sections. And
in the 300s?
Yep.
Oh, that's fine.
And the really cool part about that, though, is they're actually a registered 501c nonprofit. And the amount of money that this raises for cancer research and you name it is just out of this world. So, you know, it is a great thing, even if as a Jets fan, you really don't want to have drowning out chants of "Let's go Dolphins" from your home stadium.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some, right? I definitely don't want you guys there. You guys could donate independently.
I could, but it wouldn't be nearly as fun.
Yeah,
You know.
that's true. That's
But no,
true.
it's you guys are really on the right path, and I don't want to be derogatory when I say it, and it's not meant in that way.
No,
You
it's
guys
all
are
good.
on a path that I hate.
We are
seeing.
Jets fans, man. You think we haven't heard it all?
Come on,
Like,
man. 10
be
years of
honest,
just
though,
struggle. Plus.
This rivalry is at its best when both teams are competitive,
Mhm.
and both teams are on that uptick, and the Patriots are on.
Oh, thank God. I was waiting for that one.
I agree with all that. The only issue I have with you, man, is I'm going to be upset if we lose 27 to Teddy Bridgewater. That's a lot. Like that's a tough look at the defense. That's a lot. What are you doing, man? You're the defensive guy. Everybody's healthy on the defense. You can't give up 27 to a backup quarterback in the division. You just can't.
And that's where you need to look at it more so as losing those moments to Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds and Jalen Waddle and Cedric Wilson and Mike Gesicki and Durham Smythe, who's outplaying Mike Gesicki right now.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where it's those moments that are going to be a big difference maker. And I hate to say this, he's probably not going to play in this game, but if Teddy gets hurt,
Oh, it's over.
Skylar Thompson.
Dude, if Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt, which I would actually be very upset about that because I am a big Teddy guy. I like him. I definitely don't want him to go down in MetLife. That would really suck, especially right in front of my face, because his career would be over. That would really suck. But if
I'm
that
not saying
happens,
concussion. I'm just saying, like,
if that happens and we lose to a third string quarterback, I mean, I don't even know if I can get on the rapid reaction. I'm not even going to be able to handle it.
in reality, if Skylar Thompson had been in the NFL for a year, he'd be the backup quarterback over Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay.
And there are people that, justly or unjustly so, I'll say, were clamoring for him to be the starter this year after watching a training camp, joint practices.
Man,
A
Tua was
couple
that bad,
preseason
huh?
games started. What's that?
Tua looked that bad, huh?
Wasn't about Tua.
No, I'm kidding. I had to get that shot. All right. So for the record, I had the Jets, just so you know, winning 20-13, 2016.
Okay.
2013. Something like that. Alex, what'd you have?
I had 28-24 Jets.
All right. So we all got
So
close
you
games
had
except for
you had Teddy B throwing 24 points up there, not far off.
I think he could do 24 points. To have him coming in there doing more than that.
I'm hoping for 7. And then we'll get the 2 field goals.
I mean, Teddy could do 24, and then it's Jason Sanders kicking a 3-point field goal from there.
Yeah, he's gonna kick. He's gonna kick a bunch.
Yeah.
Listen, we can't stop field goals. That's impossible. But we can hopefully stop touchdowns, man.
And hopefully it's not Raheem Mostert coming back at the Jets again with another 80-yarder because we don't need to see that nonsense again.
Or Tyreek Hill, because we're going to get him. That article's going to come out. Oh, it chose Miami because of the taxes. Now I'm coming back to beat you. You know, we skipped on Jalen Waddle in the draft. It's all coming. It's all going to come back. Mike McDaniel.
I'm glad the Cavs and the Knicks are not playing anytime because it'd be back to back. Oh well, they missed out on Tyreek Hill. Oh, and they missed out on Donovan Mitchell. Oh, it'd be a terrible time.
Man. It's all
it'd be a terrible time. But yo, Paul, thank you for hopping on this pod with us, man.
Absolutely, guys. This was fun. We need to do it again
for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, we played 2 times.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. We'll get you back. Well, look, Paul of the FinSide. On the FinSide podcast.
I know that's
on the FinSide. It's a lot of O's.
Yeah.
Of On the FinSide podcast. Please let our listeners know where else they could find you, and all that stuff, man.
Yeah, where to reach you when they want to see what you think about the Dolphins' loss. Like where should they go?
I mean, the first place where we always do live is right out there on YouTube. It's we'll probably be live Sunday night. Probably late because I'm gonna have to watch the game recorded this week. But
I might be in there then. I might come join.
Please hop on the chat for it. It's a good time. We're right on YouTube. It's On the FinSide. We're easy to find.
I'll be tired. Come back from MetLife. I'll be ready.
But yeah, we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that jazz. On Twitter at On the FinSide. You can find me at fanatic_pick or my co-host Kat at Brian Cat NFL. We're on Facebook. We're real easy to find. We're not hiding from anybody.
Yeah, they're on the Twitter at PHINATIC _pick, the fanatic pick. He you can go check out some Zach Wilson slander. He had some memes out today.
Go use the Google to find it. And you're
yeah, I mean, listen, the receipts. We learned one thing from our coach. We got to keep receipts. So we got the receipt.
Paul, I will tell you right now, you don't need them with me. If I'm wrong, I will tell you. If I'm right, I will tell you.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, Paul.
You know, I've got a lot of good hits and a lot of good misses over the years.
I will tell you something, Paul. I mean, we're so excited about this division game. We're so excited about the Jets hopefully getting a win at MetLife. But the collaboration with our fan-sided brothers, especially that you're running the Dolphins, this makes it even more important because now I have a face, and now it's not just like sit in my corner. Okay, whatever. Dolphins beat us, I can move on. Now I have a face, and I have to face you. I was gonna
say there's a lot more experience in this beard than there is in yours.
That's fair. That's fair. We have two though. Two, does that count?
Two beards.
I got more white in this beard than you guys got in both.
I'm starting to get old. It's starting to come in a little bit. It's starting to get old.
You sound like my 11-year-old with it's starting to come in a little bit.
Oh wow! Here we go.
We're not going to play the who's older game, but I have no hair on my head. I'm just saying.
I have a full head of hair, luckily.
All right, Paul. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
very much. Appreciate it.
Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good one, man. And to all of our listeners, thank you all for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. You all know what to do. Please make sure to find us on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review or comment. Just like our brother Paul, man, from On The FinSide, we are also partnered with FanSided and Minute Media. So you can find this podcast on the Jet Press and the Daily Knicks. We also got that YouTube channel, Knicks, Jets, etc. Period, no one writes out, etc. That shit's wild. Find the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. When you watch a video, hit the like button, leave a comment, add to the conversation. We want to know your thoughts and opinion. Look, we know we got some Dolphin fans in here watching out because of Paul. All right. What do you guys think?
They were trolling the Jets media. They were trolling Richie's Jets media all 22 today watching the Steelers. So the Dolphins fans are out, man.
Dolphin fans are out. Look, man. We all get it. It's a division rival, up and coming teams. We feel it. We feel it. Come on. Let us all know in the comments what you think is going to happen this weekend. We also got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. That's also partnered with Minute Media. John, video producer Greg, and our guy and co-host Chip Murphy. These guys go through every single sport possible. If you need to put money down the line, these guys got you covered. Paul, how dare you, man? This is a travesty. Your name is Paul Picken. How do you not have the podcast name? Picking with Paul Picken. Come on, bro. You got to have a podcast.
I inherited the podcast, man.
No, I need a gambling pod. As soon as I saw your name, I was like, I need a gambling podcast called Pick 'em with Paul Picken, man.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Let's go. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. We'll catch you guys later this week for another Jets episode. Rapid reaction. We out.
Jets.